Towards the end of last year, I ditched FC and I started to play different games like Ark Raiders and more recently Crimson Desert. And something just started nagging at me, and that's that gaming doesn't feel the same anymore. Not because games are worse, but because of how we experience them now. Somewhere along the line, something changed, and I didn't really notice it at first until I broke away from the FC trap. And I can break it down into three main categories: the short form content spoiler, the way that we buy and consume games, and just the cost of everything at the moment. And that's how we're going to break down this video. I'm going to cover those three main topics and we're going to have a talk about them. Gaming in 2026 isn't just about playing games anymore, it's about keeping up with them. You're not discovering things for yourself, you're consuming them, because before you even get a chance to play a story-driven game, you've already seen the ending. Let's take Resident Evil 9 for example. I've streamed the first 2 hours of that game, and by the time I went on my phone at night time to just relax in bed, I went on TikTok and the ending was spoiled for me. I went on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, clips that are 30 seconds long, but somehow ruined a whole 10-hour experience for me. I saw big moments, I saw plot twists, I saw character deaths, all just reduced to content. And there's something that could have made that even easier for me. I could have had a spoiler warning at the start to say that it was the end of Resident Evil 9 and not have the game completely ruined, but I already knew the ending before I'd even carried on playing it by myself. And that's not the way that I want to consume story-driven games. I want to actually experience the game myself. And I fully understand that, people want to make content, they want to get views, and the way that they do that is by going on the different trends and making edits and those sorts of things. But if I hadn't seen that TikTok, I probably would have experienced Resident Evil 9 in a better way. I wouldn't have known the ending, and I would have had a much better experience with the game. If I would have had a spoiler warning on the front of that video, I would have skipped past it, and I wouldn't have been bothered. I would have played the game myself, and that's what it's been reduced to. Literally, as soon as a game releases, on the same day, the ending is spoiled. I did that stream for 2 hours, and that was on the day of release of Resident Evil 9, and that was at 8 PM. By the time I'd logged off at 10 PM, I'd already had the game spoiled for me because somebody had already posted the ending on TikTok. Let's just take when The Last of Us 2 came out, for example. We didn't have as much short form content as much as we have right now, and if you wanted to see the ending, you had to go searching for it. I didn't accidentally click on a YouTube video which spoiled the ending for me. I didn't accidentally scroll through my TikTok feed to actually see, the ending for that game. It was something that you had to go searching for, and I was able to actually enjoy that game when it came out. And that's how it's different this year. You've got all this different short form content that just spoils a game before you've even had time to enjoy it. And I know there is the argument that I could stay away from those sorts of content like short form, like TikTok, YouTube Shorts, but there's a lot of content that I actually enjoy on there. Funny videos, funny moments, and short form content isn't all bad. It's the reason I bought Ark Raiders, and the reason I've spent 150 hours in Ark Raiders is because that got me hyped to actually play the game. But that's a multiplayer game with no story and no ending to it. And that's the big difference, is that I was happy to watch those videos because they're, funny, different moments, proximity chat moments. It's a multiplayer game, but for a single player game, recently, those have been ruined. In 2026, we're surrounded by subscription services. And this isn't just for gaming, this is all media content across the board. You want to watch a film, you've got Netflix, you've got Prime Video, you've got Disney Plus, you've got Paramount Plus, and that isn't even all of them. The same for gaming. I recently bought KCD 2 in the Steam sale. It was £33, it was including all the DLC, all that good stuff, right? And that was a great deal. And I've bought that and I now own that game, and that's great. But now I went on the next day and I saw that it was on Game Pass, and I could have played it paying a Game Pass subscription. Now, Game Pass and PlayStation Plus, they all sound really good, and you get access to a load of different games, and for some people that's worth it, right? If you just want to go on, download random games, download a backlog, and play games as much as you can. But realistically, for someone like me who works full-time, 9 to 5, I only get a few hours in the evening to actually play a game after, I've made dinner, after I've been to the gym. I've got to be selective with what I play and when I play it. And it feels like a bit of a chore, and I've got to schedule all these games and all that kind of stuff. And you can make the argument, obviously it's a subscription service. As soon as you run out that subscription service, you can't play the game. So sometimes it is better to own it. And that is, 100% true in my case, because I'll play it whenever I get to it. But there's so many different subscription services and so much different choice. Game Pass used to be an optional thing for Xbox. You would have Xbox Live Gold, and then obviously you would go up to like Game Pass Ultimate, where you'd get access to all the games. But now Game Pass is forced. You have to get the base level Game Pass to be able to even play online. You don't get the option of Xbox Live Gold anymore. And before you got Xbox Live Gold, you had games for gold, which you actually owned after as well once you'd downloaded them. Same with PlayStation Plus. And PlayStation Plus, in my opinion, is a little bit better because you still get those games to own in your library. And the PlayStation Premium games with the extra and premium services, obviously they're in a catalogue, so you can download those whenever you want to. But the subscription services just means that you'll buy a game one day, and then the next day it might be on Game Pass or PlayStation Plus. And you just sit there and you think, what's the point? Why did I spend that money on that game? And yes, you can download it and you can own it, and, well, technically not own it, but you have the option to play that when you're not connected to those services, or if you cancel your subscription. But let's say all these new games come out and you buy every single one, that won't amount to the subscription service. And now I know people might disagree with what I'm saying, that it's not a great deal and all that and this, that and the other, but you've got to really play all the games in that catalogue to make up for the cost. Whereas I could buy a game like KCD2, put hours and hours and hours into it and get my money's worth. A little bit like Ark Raiders. I'll keep on coming back to Ark Raiders as my example, because that's what I've been playing lately. But I bought that game for £33, I think, when I got it on sale. And I've put 150 hours into that game. I would say that I've got my money's worth. And that's not a game that's on a subscription service. So it is definitely possible. The main problem I have with it is the emotion of buying a game and then the next day it being on Game Pass. Because you do sit there and you think, well, what was the point in that big purchase? I could have just paid for a month of Game Pass. But then let's say I did that, downloaded KCD2, and didn't get around to playing it because I was playing something else, or, life just gets in the way. Then I don't have that option to go back to that game unless I keep my Game Pass subscription open. And for new releases, obviously you can start a Game Pass subscription and then play that game. That's no problem. Obviously, I don't have too much against people that do that and would get their money's worth. But for me personally, that's something that I wouldn't do. And to round it all off, I just kind of want to talk about the cost of it all. Have you seen the price of PC parts these days? And more specifically, RAM. I'm just looking on Amazon right now, and a 32GB of RAM is £330. Now, I know that you don't need 32GB. You can, get by with 16GB, and that's absolutely fine. But I'm just going by what I've got in my PC right now, which is 32GB of DDR5 RAM. That is £330 as the cheapest price on Amazon right now. And yeah, you could shop around for deals, but let's be honest, you just search it. That's the first thing that comes up. Not everyone's going to go searching for deals, right? Then you've got the consoles, which have actually gone up in price recently. Let's say you were going to go out and buy a PS5 right now. They've gone up in price, and then you've got to pay for PlayStation Plus on top of it to play online. And okay, you get a few games for PlayStation Plus, but what if you want to buy the latest game? Then that's also at £60 at the moment, because game prices have gone up as well. I remember when you could go back on release day, walk into a game shop and pay £35, £40 for the latest release, and you'll get loads of hours of fun with it. And I completely understand the economics, right? I completely understand supply and demand. I also understand that there's real world conditions and real world events that actually goes into why these things are priced the way they are. And I appreciate, obviously, everyone needs to make money, their businesses, and so on and so forth. But when we're thinking about as a consumer, especially in the UK when we've just been through a cost of living crisis and people are having to budget. You want to have fun. Video games are an escapism. It's the way to escape from the real world and your real life responsibilities. And it's becoming so expensive to do that. Looking at some of the Switch games that come out, Mario Kart, when it first came out, was £70. That's what I saw it for anyway. And unless you're getting that as part of a bundle, which also brings the price of the console up, by the way, everyone thinks that bundles are amazing deals. You are paying for the game. Maybe not full price, but you are still paying for the game. Unless you find all of these things on sale, you're not going to be saving money, and it's not as easily accessible as it used to before. And that's one of my problems with trying to get into gaming, is you want to play everything, and you know, you're trying to play all the different consoles and stuff like that, and it is just so expensive. Now, gaming is my favorite hobby ever, and I'm not, you know, disputing that there are great things about it. This video is just the problems that we've got in 2026. And I think the truth is, gaming isn't worse in 2026. It's just louder. There's more content, there's more access, and there's more noise. And in all that noise, we've lost something really simple. And that's the feeling of discovering something for ourselves. So maybe the problem isn't the games, maybe it's just how we're playing them. And maybe if we slow down, stop chasing everything, and actually sit with a game, we might find that feeling again that we felt years ago. Because it was never about having more games, it was about having a better experience with the ones that we chose. And right now, that's what I think gaming is missing. That's one of the reasons why Arc Raiders made me fall in love with gaming again, is because I got to jump on, you meet some great characters on there through proximity chat, and I've had some of the funnest moments that I've had in years on that game. And in Crimson Desert recently, a single player game, I've been really enjoying that because it's just an open sandbox. You don't have any spoilers on TikTok, you don't have any spoilers online. It's more about all these crazy different combos that everyone's doing and showing off the impressive parts of the game. And that's what I think we're missing here. And with the whole Game Pass, you know, subscription and stuff like that, if it's worthwhile for you, then go for it. But for me personally, it's not, and the rising price of games is really affecting it. This is a different style of video, and it's definitely not ranting, it's just kind of my opinions on some of the things that is going on with gaming in 2026. But if you did like the video, then drop a like, subscribe if you want to see more like this, and I'll see you in the next one.